We're rolling.
Welcome to the House Dudes podcast, where we invite you to follow us on our journey towards financial freedom using the power of real estate. I'm Jack Haas.
And I'm Josh Koth. Here at House Dudes, we believe in a couple key principles. Number one, the best way to retain information is by teaching it to others. And number two, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're not competitors, we're a community. So let's get into some real estate investing.
So today we are on to the next part of our series on how to find a deal, and we're going to get into leveraging people. So this is going to be that you have a little money to spend, and we can use some other people and their time.
Yeah, so remember, we're on the back half of the list here where we're talking about strategies that require more of your cash and less of your involvement. So let's talk about who this could apply to. This could be people that are looking to get into real estate investing and maybe have a full-time job. They're busy. They just do not have the available man hours to go out and do Bandit Signs by yourself or go door knocking or any of those other strategies we spoke about earlier. So these are going to be ones that focus on leveraging other people's time with your cash.
Well, let's start kicking things off with wholesalers. We do a little wholesaling ourselves, and I think it's one of those things that I think has to be a mindset thing where you have to get over the fact that a wholesaler is going to make a little money here. So run your numbers, and if the numbers work, grab it because it's a good deal. And don't be concerned about what a wholesaler might be making or this or that or the other. They've put in a lot of time and effort in finding this opportunity, and this is a great opportunity for you. You haven't put in any time, effort, marketing. There's a lot of work that you're avoiding by looking and buying from a wholesaler.
Yep, exactly. People, this is, like you said, it's a mindset thing. People get, so it comes from a scarcity attitude. If you're worried about what other people are going to make on something, really, again, just analyze whether the deal works for you, and either it does or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you can always make an offer too, and you either work out a deal or you don't. But you're paying them a service, basically a service fee to locate this property and serve it up to you. And if you can just get on wholesalers' mailing lists when you see one that works, that's all you have to do is decide, does this work for me? Okay, move forward. Boom, there's your next flip. There's your next rental. But like you said, don't focus on what the wholesaler's making. We've been on both sides of this too. So, we can really see it from both sides. And once you start kind of doing the mental math on what you think the other person's making and you're upset about that, that's not a good look. So just concentrate on your numbers and if they work or not. I don't care if somebody bought the property for $1 and sells it to us for $100,000. They make $99,999. Good for them. If the $100,000 price works for us, so be it. Let's move forward. We're saving all that time beating the bushes trying to find the deal.
Yeah, I don't think that can be underemphasized. The amount of time and effort and marketing and dollars associated with finding a deal, you kind of put that behind you when you're working with a wholesaler, and it might be a great opportunity. Yeah,
that for every deal that you see on their list, they've talked to probably 50 to 100 other potential sellers that the numbers just didn't work out or they weren't able to lock up the deal. So that's a lot of time and effort put forth. So really you're leveraging that wholesaler's time and you're paying a fee. Remember, we're talking about strategies that involve more cash than time. So you can pay some cash to have somebody go out there beating the bushes for you and serving you up those deals on a silver platter in form of their email list.
So the next thing is a joint venture. I know this is especially popular if you're getting into real estate investing for the first time because it is a way for you to get your feet wet and learn the process. But I'd always advise people to pick your partnerships carefully because you should be picking somebody that complements your strengths or has some experience that you can learn from.
Right. Now, we've seen this work and we've done this a few times as well. Partner with somebody if you have the cash and you partner with maybe a contractor that can do the work. That's a great example of a joint venture. So you identify a project, you provide the capital, and they manage the project, oversee all the subcontractors and get the, if it's a flip, for instance, oversee the process all the way to a completed project, turn it over to a real estate agent, get it sold, and you guys split the profits. That's one example of how that can work. And really all you did was throw the money at the project and step aside and just cash a check at the end. So that's a great way to do that if you're looking to leverage other people's time.
So the next thing would be Bandit Signs. I know we brought this up in a previous episode, but a great way to get this done, and in fact, we've kind of used this a number of times, is finding inexpensive people off of Facebook Marketplace, or I think that's pretty much where we've sourced ours, right?
Yeah, I mean, Craigslist, Facebook, Jobs, any of those, wherever you would find anybody to do an odd job, you can find people to put Bandit signs out. So if you're willing to throw cash at the problem, you can buy giant boxes of signs, from a million sign companies out there. And then what we do is we just buy a box of signs a month, and I have a guy now that we found that does it for us on a regular basis. We just pay him, and you can negotiate, obviously, whatever you need to negotiate to get it done. He puts them out for so much a sign, and we use an app called Simple Crew, which is how you can track them, that they didn't just throw the box in a dumpster. Yeah. They take the pictures, and it geolocates based on the GPS tag of the image. Great way to prove that they did it. Then we just pay them through Cash App or Venmo or any of these other, PayPal or something like that or whatever. So it's pretty simple. I literally just, the signs show up. I text them, say, okay, meet me here and I'll give you the box. And if you have a guy that's really working for you, you could even have them shipped to their house if you wanted to really automate it and be completely out of the process. And then it's just a matter of sending them the cash when it's done.
So, how have you found that the best way to handle that, like when it comes to payment? Right now, you pay him per sign and then a bonus if they achieve something within a certain time period, right?
Yeah, for us, we wanted to make sure they get done in a timely manner. So we said, we're going to pay you so much a sign and then a $100 bonus if you get it done within 48 hours. And he always hits that because why wouldn't you, right? You're adding another $100 onto your day. And, he bangs out 100 signs in a few hours. So he's making $300 in about 4 or 5 hours of his time. That's pretty good pay. And obviously, you have to negotiate that. And depending on your market, you can find people for more or less, probably. But there are people out there willing to work for these kind of odd jobs, and some pretty trustworthy. Ours is a college student, and he's real reliable, and he's done it for 4 or 5 months for us now.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent. I really like that Simple Crew app. It really nailed down the process for us.
Yeah, it works. Keeps them accountable.
So the next thing is yellow letters. This is a pretty popular way of marketing to potential sellers. There are many services that provide you can buy the lists. You can get them to send it out. We even use a service that will split up the mailing, so we're not sending out all of the mailing all at once. They kind of partition it out and sell it in equal batches over an 8-week period. So it's a great way to get your marketing out and on a consistent basis. Yeah,
we spoke about when you have more time than money, you can write these yellow letters based on lists you can either purchase or, driving for dollars, looking at finding properties in neighborhoods. But this is really a complete service where you might buy an absentee owner list or an equity list, or just mail to every house in town, depending on your market size and how much money you have. And you can buy the list from the service, and they will package it up for you, like you said, partition it out, how many weeks you want to split it up over, and do all the work. And really, then it's just a matter of how are you going to handle those calls that come in, and how are you going to structure all that. Again, you could pay a VA, or have a CRM set up with outgoing voicemail. That's kind of what we do, and then we return the call. So it really cuts down on the amount of calls it takes to find a deal. So it really the more of that you can automate, the better, and throw some money at the problem and definitely generate leads that way. And that's probably direct mail, yellow letters, whether it's postcards, letters, whatever. That's one of the main ways that real estate investors are finding deals. And I know, like in the age of online things, pay-per-click and all this other stuff, direct mail is still is responsible for a large percentage of our deals and most real estate investors' deals. So don't overlook that as a strategy.
Yeah, it's just one of those strategies that you have to remember, that don't expect a ton of response, especially that first mailing that goes out. This, along with everything, is kind of a long play. So sometimes a person's going to have to, you'll get some responses on that first mailing, but it's that consistent, persistent, they will likely have to receive your postcard multiple times for them to react.
Yeah, and we have many stories of people calling us a year later, 6 months later, after they got the first one, and they just weren't ready yet. So your job is to be in front of them consistently so that when they reach the point where they're ready to sell at hopefully a large discount, that you're there and you're the one that they're going to call. And if you just mailed one postcard a year ago and didn't follow up and didn't keep the postcards coming, chances are you're not going to be at the top of mind when they're finally reach that point where they're ready to sell. But if you've been sending them one a month or whatever, 6 weeks or 8 weeks for an entire year, chances are you're probably going to be top of mind and you have a higher chance of getting that call. So you just need to be there when they're ready.
So one thing that we're going to add here between yellow letters and our next subject is skip tracing, because you are going to get a lot of yellow letters back that you could potentially find some gold there. Those are typically where other investors are going to just throw those opportunities away. So there are services that you can ship your return mail to, and they'll do a skip trace and find an actual accurate new mailing address for those people, or even a phone number. And it's a way for you to take it a step further and contact somebody.
Yeah, don't ignore that return mail. I used to just chuck ours, and then I heard other investors speaking about skip tracing. And so definitely, the harder it is, and this goes to the old adage of the harder it is to get in touch with a seller, the juicier the deal may possibly be, because other investors aren't able to get them to them easily either. So, don't forget that. So just pursue every seller as hard as you can until you reach the dead end, right? You got to be like a pit bull when it comes to this stuff. And again, you could automate all this. Like you said, you can just mail a big box of return mail into a skip tracing service and pay a fee to have all this done for you. It generates a list, and then you can use those new addresses and mail to them and with the correct addresses, or you can do a combination of the yellow letters and then what we're going to talk about next, which is cold calling. So that's kind of how people use yellow letters and cold calling in conjunction. Is you skip trace that return mail, and then when you get a phone number, you can pay a VA, which is a virtual assistant, or hire somebody, again, locally. Depending on where you live, you may be able to hire somebody that can do this for you. Just call every number that is provided by your skip tracer and generate leads that way. Mm-hmm. And now the idea would be, cold calling. Let's talk about cold calling for a second. So that's really just taking any list, whether it's a skip trace list or a list you purchased outright, and they just work the list, call the numbers that are provided, and all they're doing is filtering. They're just qualifying or disqualifying, however you want to put it, and getting them up to a certain threshold, asking questions. Usually have a script, and you don't really need a educated real estate investor to do this. It can literally be anyone that can use a phone. If they can follow the script and they can enter some data in, that's all you need. So they call everyone, anyone that meets, they ask the questions, run through the script, and anyone that meets a certain threshold gets somehow flagged in your CRM or your spreadsheet or whatever. Then it's either your job to go on those appointments or hire an acquisitions manager, depending on, obviously, how much time you have available. But they can do all the hard work up front, the time-consuming work of cranking through that list. You might have thousands of names. Think about how much time that would take you to call.
And then, so let's summarize some of those things that we were just talking about. First off is wholesaler. Run your numbers. If it's a good deal, it might be a great opportunity. You just have a house or a property under contract that you didn't spend any time hunting for yourself. Joint venture, make sure you find somebody that is a great partner that either complements your strengths or has the ability to teach you something. So there's a lot of value, and let's not forget that type of value when you're in a joint venture. Bandit Signs, you can hire some kid or somebody to put those bandit signs out. We use that Simple Crew application. It's a great process, and it's a great way to get those bandit signs out, because I know we struggled to get that. What do we have, boxes sitting around here for almost a year?
Yeah, we stared at the box in the corner of the studio and finally said, all right, I need to hire somebody to do this because I'm obviously never going to do it myself.
Yeah. So yellow letters, remember this is a regular and a consistent thing you have to do. If you're going to go the yellow letter route, don't expect a huge results in one mailing. It is one of those long-term strategies you got to keep mailing in order to get any kind of traction. Mm-hmm. Skip tracing is also another thing. So if you're getting return mail, don't throw that away. Yeah, maybe do a skip trace and get the new contact information. It might be some fruit there that nobody else is harvesting. And cold calling. You can hire a service to make those dials for you. And in fact, there's a lot more real estate investors who are using a cold calling as a growing strategy.
In fact, a lot of people will just take that same list that they're going to do yellow letters to, and either in addition to that, will skip trace that list and cold call them, or only do that. They won't even do the direct mail. I mean, obviously, you need to decide how much money you have and what you're going to actually do. Again, same for all these strategies. Pick one or two that you're going to actually do and execute them consistently for as long as you can. Don't just do it for a couple months and say, well, that didn't work. You got to give everything at least a 6-month try. Otherwise, it's probably not long enough. So yeah, cold calling is a great way to really wring every bit of juice out of your list that you have. So don't ignore that.
Yeah, and remember, like we said previously, take stock in what you have available to you and find something that you're going to be able to do consistently and persistently. If it's something that you hate to do, it's great to find somebody who maybe can do it for you, or maybe you should look at something that you would be able to do consistently.
Boom.
We've put a lot of effort into providing useful content, and if you found value in the show and have any interest in supporting us with a small donation, head over to patreon.com/housedudes.
And if you have any thoughts or questions, shoot us an email at info@housedudes.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @housedudes. And if you like what you're hearing, head over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It really helps other investors out there find the show.
And remember, massive positive impact requires
massive positive action. We'll see you next time. This episode was brought to you by HouseDudes.com. Do you have time to actively manage flipping and rentals yourself? If so, go for it. If you live in a market that won't cash flow or don't have the time to do all the work, are you just out of luck? If there was a way to participate more passively, would that appeal to you? I'm sure you have questions about how the process works and what to do next. If that's the case, fill out the form on housedudes.com/investors, and we'll reach out to see if you are a good fit for our business. This is first come, first serve, and we will have to stop taking applications when our goals are met. See you at housedudes.com/investors.
I don't like to tell a man what to do with his money, but if you ain't investing in property, then you're dumber than a dummy.
I'm not dumb. I'm smart.
Well, buy property. That's my advice.